Hey there, entrepreneur. Do you know your calm entrepreneur archetype? I've created a fun and insightful 10-question quiz that reveals your calm entrepreneur archetype and allows you to unlock your entrepreneurial superpower. With this quiz, you'll be asked some questions that zero in on your business style, the way you think, the way you show up, and how your energy works. And by gaining a deeper understanding of your innate strengths, preferences, and challenges, you can maximize your potential, leverage your unique abilities, and overcome obstacles more effectively. The self-awareness that comes also fosters better communication and collaboration within professional relationships and teams, enabling you to make more informed decisions that align with your natural instincts. Ultimately, discovering your entrepreneurial archetype can lead to greater satisfaction and success on your entrepreneurial journey. So just answer a few simple questions and you'll gain access to a personalized path designed to empower you to step into your role as a calm and confident entrepreneur. You can find the Calm Entrepreneur Archetype Quiz now at CorinneO'Flynn.com on the homepage or CorinneO'Flynn.com/quiz. Hey there. My name is Corinne O'Flynn, and you're listening to the Calm Entrepreneur Podcast. I am a USA Today bestselling author, nonprofit executive, and organizing nerd with over 20 years' experience running my own small businesses. I teach entrepreneurs, solopreneurs, and small business owners like you how to organize your business, find more time, and deepen your alignment practice to experience more calm and confidence every single day. If you're looking for that intersection between practical business advice and spiritual goodness, then you're in the right place. So sit back, relax, and let's dive into this week's episode of the Calm Entrepreneur Podcast. Welcome to the Calm Entrepreneur Podcast. I'm your host, Corinne O'Flynn, and this is episode 22. Today, I wanted to talk about fear, and specifically, I wanted to talk about the fear that we feel when we show up despite knowing that there are naysayers in our midst, because that's a very specific kind of thing. And I think that none of us are immune to it. I think most people that I know, it's definitely myself and every client I've ever worked with, has expressed this fear of the naysayer, of the hater, of the person who's going to come for you when you show up. And, it's hard enough navigating our winding uphill road, uphill both ways, barefoot of entrepreneurship and, really just being a person in the world. Like, if you're out there doing stuff, you're going to attract the naysayer. And I'm using the word naysayer because it's the lighter of the other two words. And, I just want to keep the energy in the positives place. So I don't think any of us is immune to fear, right? We might find ourselves held back by fear of failure, fear of success, but it's that fear of criticism that I wanted to talk about. And this is different from stepping out of your comfort zone. This is different from doing something when you're not 100% sure of, success or failure, or even if you're not 100% sure of all the steps that it takes. The critic, the naysayer, is the one that I wanted to address today because, there are going to be people who doubt your abilities, and there are going to be people who undermine your ambitions. And one critical thing, a tool that is vital to overcoming these challenges, is to understand that regardless of what's causing our fear, we cannot simply just cast blame and say, they caused this, because ultimately the fear is ours, right? It comes from within us, and it comes from a place deep in our subconscious mind. And when it comes to this fear of showing up, that is coming from a place that we affectionately call the set point. And the set point is this internal thermostat that dictates what we believe we can achieve and how safe we feel stretching beyond our comfort zone. And so the set point isn't inherently bad, right? It's a defense mechanism. It's designed to protect ourselves from perceived danger. It represents our comfort zone. It's this place within which we feel safe, where we feel like we have control. And when we attempt to step outside of that comfort zone, our set point triggers a fear response. And all it's attempting to do is pull us back into what is familiar, right? But if we want to grow, if we want to achieve our new goals and prove the naysayers wrong, we need to learn how to navigate our set point effectively. Before we dig into how to manage the set point, I think it's really important to unpack a bit about naysayers. Compassion, I think, is really the path forward in most things. And that includes this desire for understanding naysayers and the psychology behind negativity, right? So have you ever been excited about a new idea and you share it with someone and you're met with a discouraging response? It's like, oh, hello, naysayer. Thanks for harshing on my mellow. But what is it that's driving them? A naysayer is someone who seems to thrive on questioning and doubting and critiquing and sometimes outright negating the ideas and aspirations that we have, right? And a naysayer can be so disheartening, particularly when we're the one taking the risks and we're the one trying new things. We're trying to stretch. So understanding why naysayers do what they do can take away the power. It can empower us to better manage their impact on our lives, right? The human brain has a natural tendency to pay more attention to negative information than positive, right? This is something that's called negativity bias, and it's another survival mechanism that has helped our ancestors stay alert, right, to all the things out there that are going to kill us. And when somebody adopts a consistent negative mindset, they start becoming the naysayer. And it's really important that we understand where that is being pulled from inside of them, because what they're doing is projecting all of their stuff onto us. But in the moment, it's really hard to see that. So fear and uncertainty is a big one, right? Naysayers often fear change or they fear the unknown. And a lot of times when they are naysaying you, they're doing it from a place of care. Like they don't want you to be hurt. But what they are projecting onto you is their limit, their ceiling, their set point. They don't know what it is that you're pushing through. And the uncertainty associated with your new idea can make them feel uncomfortable, prompting them to reject or to question or to doubt what you're doing. And in many cases, well, I'm going to say in every case, their negativity is less about you and your idea. And it really is more about their own insecurities and fears. And this is, I guess, painting the naysayer with the kindest possible brush, because there are going to be people out there who really just want to cut you down. And that's, I don't think, what we're talking about here. I'm talking about people who are driven by their own fear and they're projecting it onto you, and they're doing it from a place, I think, of care. Like if they didn't care, they wouldn't care, right? But their care is showing up as fear and it's shutting you down, or it could potentially shut you down. Another place where their naysaying comes from is their own personal limitations and limiting beliefs, right? They are projecting their own limits onto you. They might struggle to see beyond what their own experiences are or their own capabilities are. And that might make it hard for them to believe that other people could achieve what they perceive as unattainable, right? They might say something like, oh, that won't work, when really what they mean is, I couldn't make that work. Or, you know, inside of that one is a little bit of jealousy, maybe because the thing that you're doing might be something that they wish they had done too. And it isn't for us to solve that for them. When it comes time for them to take on the mantle and push through their own fears, and maybe you will inspire them by your actions. When that happens, then it's time for us to put on our cheerleader hat and cheer them on and give them positive and affirming support. But in the moment when we identify that it's their personal limitations that are projecting onto us, it is not our job to deflect and divert from the things that we're working on in order to serve that for them. And that's a big one, I think, because we want to heal the world, right? We want to make sure that everybody is is achieving everything because we're doing the things, right? And so I think that that's an important one for us to, not everything is for us to solve. And, if we solve the problems for other people, then they don't get to do the work. And then what they don't do is they don't grow. The next thing I wanted to share is oftentimes a naysayer can be driven by the need for control, right? By questioning and criticizing and expressing doubt, they feel more in control of the situation, even if the outcome doesn't directly affect them, right? Their skepticism could be their way of exerting influence or maintaining a sense of security around what's going on, because clearly they are in your circle, or they're close enough, or they feel that they're close enough where what you're doing is impacting them. So while understanding the psychology of naysayers can provide useful insights, it's really important to remember that their negativity is theirs and it should not deter us from pursuing our goals, right? And so here are some strategies to manage the naysayers. The first one is separate the message from the messenger. Consider the feedback independently of the person who is providing it, right? And then look at what they're saying and maybe, inspect it. Is there a valid critique in here? Is there something that maybe you should investigate, a concern that might be legitimate? That might be something that could help you. And if not, carry on, my friend, or like smile and wave. And step 2 is don't take it personally. And believe me, as I wrote that down on my outline to share with you, I was like, yeah, okay, that's a hard one, you guys. And I feel it in my bones how difficult it is not to take it personally, but it really isn't personal, right? We have to understand that the negativity that is being expressed to us is often about the naysayer's mindset. It's not about your idea. It's not about this thing that you're trying to do. It's not about this new goal that you've set. It's about their mindset. It's about their limit, right? And this is really hard because we want everybody to be excited with us and be excited for us. And when they aren't, we can't just shake it off, right? But we really do need to, right? We need to just really embody the duck with the things rolling off our back, or, become Taylor Swift and shake it off, because it's not ours. It's theirs. And we can seek constructive feedback, right? Surround yourself with positive influences who can provide constructive criticism, who can help you grow and improve. Right? You don't want a circle of yes women, right? You want honest, loving people in your circle who will cheer for you and support you when you need it most. And unfortunately, naysayers are a part of life, right? So we have to embolden ourselves. We have to strengthen ourselves against them because they're going to come. So believe in yourself. Keep the faith in your abilities, in your ideas, in your power, in your rightness, and the fact that you're meant to do this thing, right? Whether or not it's successful is irrelevant. Doing the thing is what's important, right? We don't do it, we don't grow. Full stop, end of story. So remember that many successful individuals faced negativity before they achieved their goals, and the presence of a naysayer can be a test of our resilience and conviction. It can be a reminder that, are we sure that we want to do this thing? Yeah, I'm sure. And now I'm going to do it despite the naysayer. And because we now understand the motives and we are learning to manage the impact behind the naysayer, we can then keep our focus where it belongs, which is on our journey, on our goals, on our growth, and on our dreams. So now that we've unpacked the naysayer, let's get back to the discussion on the set point. So the human mind is a fascinating and complex entity, right? It houses not only our conscious thoughts, but also a deeply influential subconscious mind. And within the realm of the subconscious lies an interesting concept known as the set point. The set point, like I said before, it's like a thermostat. And this thermostat is set to a particular temperature. And that temperature is the set point. It is our brain's way of maintaining consistency and balance in our lives. just like the thermometer in our house, right? You have it sent to, 65 degrees. And if the temperature drops below, the heat's going to kick on. And if the temperature goes way too high, the AC is going to kick on and bring it back down, right? The whole purpose is to maintain consistency and balance, right? And that's what our subconscious mind is doing with our set point. It's trying to maintain consistency in our lives, balance in our lives. And it encompasses our self-concept, including what we believe we can achieve and how we perceive our place in the world. So our set point is individual to all of us, and it is built upon past experiences, learned behaviors, societal norms, and our own personal beliefs, be those empowering beliefs or limiting beliefs. The set point helps to dictate our comfort zone, right? It's the realm of actions and experiences where we feel safe, where we feel in control, and where we feel competent. And while it does serve as a protective for us, right? It's meant to keep us from perceived harm. The set point can also act like a barrier, holding us back from growth and progress. And this is especially true when we aim to venture into new and unfamiliar territory. When we attempt to push past our set point, to stretch beyond our comfort zone, we will encounter what is known as the terror barrier. That's a really frightening name for something that isn't, horror movie level, but it feels like terror, like in our animal brain. That's what we're responding to. So the terror barrier is a psychological response triggered by our subconscious mind to keep us within the bounds of our set point, right? It manifests as feelings of fear, anxiety, and doubt. And these are all emotions designed to make us feel uncomfortable enough to retreat back to the familiar territory of our set point. And I have an interesting story to share with you about the terror barrier because I recently launched officially launched. I've been doing it for a long time now, but you can now hire me to be a life coach for you. And I'm also available to do coaching by design, by human design. And I have pushed through every inkling, every atom of resistance has shown up in the form of a terror barrier for me. And what's interesting is it doesn't always feel like fear in the moment, right? I pushed through and I said, okay, I'm putting up my sales page. I'm making this thing a possibility. I'm doing this for myself because I promised myself that I would push through the fear. This is the year of Corinne pushing through the fear. And it's been a ride, you guys. But what's interesting is I did this last week. I set it up before the weekend and I told my peer group, I said, I've done it. Oh my gosh, I can't believe it. And then when Wednesday came, and it was Wednesday night is the night that I usually write my newsletter that goes out Thursday morning. You guys, I completely spaced it. It did not register on my brain. Thursday arrived, did not register. It wasn't written on my calendar, which is something that it never happens to me, like never happens. I did not realize until late last night that I omitted my newsletter, which was going to be the thing that I shared with the world. Like, hey guys, I'm open for business, hire me, work with me. Like, have you ever considered working with a coach? And so I woke up this morning and it was the first thing I did. Of course, I had to do that because number one, I didn't send out my newsletter last week, which I was supposed to do. But number two, I identified that was terror barrier. Like as soon as I spoke to my mastermind, they were like, oh my gosh, that was terror barrier, Corinne. Because that's how it shows up, right? It shows up as fear. It shows up as anxiety. It shows up as doubt. And then it will trick you, right? This is your subconscious mind. This is the driver. Like we think that we are the one in control of our conscious lives and like the things that we're thinking are the only things that are going on, but that's not true. Like our subconscious is operating underneath the surface and it's doing a lot of things that we're not even aware of. And it does things like this, where it just totally like made me like pivot and never think about my newsletter at all. And I'm laughing at myself as I share this with you because it blew my mind because even knowing about all of this and knowing that I'm pushing through fear and knowing that I did the thing that scared me and I wanted to throw up after I put this thing out there. Like it scared me in all the ways. Even knowing all of those things and knowing about the set point, I still fell victim to it, right? The terror barrier prevented me from doing my job, you guys. So yeah, it's a thing. So the terror barrier can be particularly prominent when we aim for something super duper ambitious or significant as a personal transformation. And I can't speak more truly to that. Like this is where I'm at. Like I have decided to completely pivot my life and I'm doing something completely new and I'm talking about it as I'm doing it, right? And that makes me feel so vulnerable because I'm the person who teaches other people how to do things. I'm not the person who's, in the learning seat. Well, I'm always in the learning seat, but I'm not out there telling people that I don't know things or that I'm afraid or that this is really pushing outside of my comfort zone. Like, but I'm forcing myself to do that because I think that that's where connection lies. I think that I know that I'm not alone in these feelings. I know that I'm not alone in doing all the things that I'm doing, which this past 12 months has seen me pivot in my business. I have slowed down on the writing. I have leaned into learning about coaching. I've gotten a coaching certificate. I have dove headfirst into human design in a way that I have not like quenched my thirst with something so juicy in I can't even remember how long. Like human design is completely causing another pivot in the way that I'm going to work going forward. Like I don't see me working without it. And this is, you know, it feels so new and I'm unsure and I still don't know how it's all going to look, but you know, I've I've made myself show up and I've made myself talk about it and I've made myself be real about the fear that I'm feeling. And so this topic came from my experiences this past week. And I was actually talking to someone in my mastermind and I was like, I'm not sure what to share on my podcast. And 10 seconds later, my phone was ringing. She goes, okay, I know exactly what you're going to talk about this week on the podcast because this is what I'm living. Like, so if you've ever experienced this, I want you to know that you're not alone, right? So the terror barrier shows up at the level to which we're trying to achieve. And when you are trying to do something that's completely outside the norm or has significant personal, weight to it, the terror barrier is going to be that much more prominent for you, right? And this is something that a lot of people feel when it comes to public speaking. If we have a set point centered around a self-image of being shy or introverted, or we've had a bad experience when we tried to do public speaking in the past, attempting to step onto a stage could trigger terror barrier in a huge way. And so like that can cause intense fear and anxiety. And, you know, the important thing is to understand and label that as the terror barrier. Because once you identify what it is, you take away the power. You're like, this isn't real. This is my subconscious mind trying to protect me. Breaking through the terror barrier is crucial. It's a crucial part of personal growth and achieving higher levels of success, which is why, this is the year that Corinne pushes through the fear. This is why I set that as a mandate for myself, not even a goal. It's a mandate. It's a rule. I have marching orders that the moment I feel resistance, then I have to do the thing. And you know what, you guys, it's pushed me out. It's pushed me out and I am achieving different kinds of success. I am feeling personal growth and I'm loving it. It's been so exciting. Like thrilling is the word. Like I feel it in my belly. There's this verging kind of a feeling where it's like, what is possible? Like I'm opening the doors to potential. I'm opening the doors to possibility. And I think that is what lives on the other side of the terror barrier. So that's why I share this with you today, because when you identify that there is a set point that you have, and we have set points for all kinds of things, and everybody has them. And then when you're pushing past a set point and you see and you feel the terror barrier coming at you, the moment that you see, oh, that's terror barrier, It's like taking the teeth out of the tiger. Like you like, oh, well, now it's a challenge. Now you have to figure out, well, how am I going to push through this despite the fact that it's trying to save my life? Because we don't live in a cave and this is not a saber-toothed tiger. This is public speaking. This is hanging a shingle and calling for clients to come and work with you. This is launching a new podcast. This is launching a new course. This is writing a new book, writing a first book. This is doing anything that feels completely outside the norm for you, that pulse of fear that comes when you think about it. When you can identify that the thing that's holding you back is you and it's not even real, well, then there's nothing holding you back, right? So understanding that the fear is a natural response rather than a valid reason to stop what you're doing, that's where the power lies, right? And it also involves gradually pushing against our set point. Some people have the ability to like explode through it and like go from like 0 to like 5,000. I don't believe that I'm one of those people. I think that I'm going from like 1 to, 50 to 100 to 101 to 104 to 105 because it's really, really hard. And I think that you need to allow for that and understand that what you're doing is you're pushing the bar. You're pushing that barrier further and further away because I don't know that we can actually ever get rid of it completely. We just have to acknowledge it for what it is and throw it out into the distance, right? And consistently venturing just outside our comfort zone will force our set point to adjust, to accommodate to this new level of action or achievement. Because once you do the thing, you get the experience that proves that you can do the thing, right? Experience is something that comes right after you need it. But that's really how it works. So by recognizing and understanding that our set point and the role that it has in our terror barrier, that can help us better navigate our path for growth. And it allows us to normalize and manage the fear associated with stepping outside of our comfort zone, right? It provides a clear path to achieving our goals and fulfilling our potential because the terror barrier is not a stop sign. It is not a stop sign. It's really just a signal that you're stretching beyond the familiar. Like maybe it's like a flashing yellow. I don't know if flashing yellow is a universal thing, but in America, in the States, a flashing yellow means, caution, keep your eyes open and move a little bit slower. So maybe it's one of those flashing yellows and not a stop sign because we need to keep stretching, right? And that's a vital part of the journey of growth. And we need to keep growing, right? Never stop learning. And all of that sounds really huge, but take heart because there is a path forward that helps us manage this. And I've got 5 things that you can do to help you push through fear and the terror barrier and raise your set point. So number 1 is understand your set point. Recognize that your set point exists and that it's a part of your subconscious mind. It is not a conscious decision to be afraid. It is not conscious to limit yourself. It's a subconscious mechanism that's maintaining the status quo. That's what its job is. But we don't want the status quo. So once we understand that that's what's happening here, that's step 1. That allows us to do step 2, which is gradually step into and stretch past our comfort zone, right? Rather than attempting to explode out of it and leap forward through it, like take small steps and be really consistent and identify it along the way. This gradual expansion helps recalibrate your set point without triggering an overwhelming fear response. And if you are someone who does deal with anxiety or overwhelming fear, like you need to do it gradually. Take baby steps here because you don't want to trigger your emotions in a way that sidetrack you completely. Like we need to know thyself here. And if the idea of stepping fully into this explosion of 15 steps forward, when really one will do, I urge you to take the 1 step and know that there are 15 more to take instead of trying to run that marathon all at once. Step number 3 is surround yourself with positivity. Seek out supportive communities and mentors and resources that encourage your growth and reinforce your self-worth and your belief in yourself. Positive influences can help balance out negative feedback, right? And help fortify our resolve. And that negative feedback from the naysayers is what I'm talking about here. We have to, throw the terror barrier at those people, like put the barrier up and block them out and really move in and assess ourselves here. Like, I don't need somebody else's feedback. I would love positive feedback, but if I have negative feedback, that's not going to change what I'm doing, right? That's their stuff and they're trying to project it on me. And I'm not going to allow fear of the naysayer, fear of that thing repeating to keep me from moving forward, right? And when we have had that negative naysayer experience in the past, our set point exists there. And then the terror barrier pops in. And that's something that I can speak to firsthand. I have had the naysayer. I've had the exuberant hater, the online person who's following you around, making sure that everybody knows that you are not doing what you're supposed to be doing, or they don't like what you're doing. It's a difficult thing. And so what happens though is that experience then creates a new set point and it triggers a terror barrier anytime I am about to stand up. And we need to identify that. So one of the ways through that is surrounding yourself with positivity, really finding the people and the podcasts and the music and, anything. If it's stepping outside into the sunlight and listening to positive affirmations, if it's EFT tapping, um, all of these things can help you reinforce your self-belief and your trust in your value here. So step 4 is practice self-compassion. You need to understand that fear and doubt are natural human experiences, right? And instead of being hard on yourself when you feel that way, practice self-compassion. Acknowledge the fear. Reassure yourself that it's okay to be afraid. It's normal to be afraid. And it's a natural thing to resist the growth and then do it anyway, right? So self-compassion is huge here. And number 5 is develop a growth mindset, right? This is one of my favorite things in the whole wide world. Embrace the belief that the skills and success that you have can be developed. They are not your identity. You are able to learn new things. You are able to do new things through work and dedication and learning and striving. A growth mindset can help you see challenges as opportunities rather than threats. And that's a big one, my friends. So I have some things that you can contemplate, I guess. It's kind of maybe journaling prompts. These are the kinds of questions you can ask yourself when you're navigating your set point. When you feel it coming in, when you feel that there's this resistance and you really can't maybe identify where it's coming from, maybe you should just call it what it is and say, you know what? I think that this is my set point. This is a terror barrier showing its face. So identify your fears. Ask yourself, what am I afraid of? Is it failure? Is it rejection? Is it criticism? Is it criticism from a particular person? Is it just this nebulous general fear of criticism? Am I afraid of success? Identifying these fears is the first step toward confronting them and walk yourself through them. If it's failure, if I do this thing and it fails, then what? Okay, well, then maybe I've invested a lot of time into something that didn't bear fruit. Okay, then what? Well, that's kind of frustrating and it's a bummer, but I learned a lot. Okay, then what? Walk it all the way through down to its core. And I promise you, at the core, there's nothing. There's nothing to be afraid of here when it's stepping out into the world and showing up in a new way and taking a risk in your business. Yes, it costs time. Yes, it costs energy. Yes, it costs money, but it's not going to kill you. And I think that, when we really dig into these questions of what are you afraid of? And you walk that thing, that fear thing, all the way down to and so what? And then what? And what then? What does that mean? What happens if that happens? and all the way down until you can't go any further, and see what that is. Because a lot of times it's this shadow. The next thing to contemplate is recognizing the naysayers, right? Who are the people that are casting doubts on my abilities or my ambition? Are there particular people, or is this just the nebulous they out there? Understanding the source of negative feedback can really help you deal with it more effectively, because if it's someone that you love, if it's someone in your circle, maybe they don't even realize how what they're saying is landing. Maybe there's a conversation that can be had that can change the way that they speak to you about the things that you're doing. Maybe it's really coming out of their fear. Maybe you can have that kind of a conversation, and it's, that will then take away the power there. Analyze your set point. Reflect on instances when you have felt fear trying to step outside of your comfort zone. What triggered the fear? What was your response? How did you deal with these things in the past? Because I know that we've all had this. We've all had past experiences where fear was triggered and we did something. We reacted in a way. So did you push through despite it? Did you pivot and do something different? Did you shut it down altogether? How do you feel about those things that happened in the past? How are you going to change that going forward? Visualize success. Imagine successfully pushing past your fear and achieving your goal. Imagine it. Close your eyes and imagine it. You're looking at your dashboard on your course thing. You're looking at your bank account. You're looking at, I don't know, reviews. You're looking at whatever it is that would be the measure of the thing that you're afraid of happening. How does that feel? You did it. If you visualize it, that can really help reinforce that positive emotion and build confidence, because our subconscious mind does not know the difference between imagination and reality. It's experiencing all of it, which is why fear is such a thing, right? And the last thing I wanted to share about how to really navigate the set point is seek support. Who can help you navigate this journey? Could it be a peer? Could it be a coach? Could it be a mentor? Could it be a community? Because you don't have to do it alone. And I'll share this again. I have a mastermind that I'm part of where we speak to each other in the language of set point and terror barrier and subconscious. We share whatever's going on, and then we help each other identify the stories that we're telling ourselves. And we point out what feels like terror barrier, like that feels like, I feel like terror barrier is happening there. And I think that you're being triggered because this stretch beyond the set point, right? And I can't state this more strongly, that you need to find your people. Start with one, find your person. And then maybe you find another person. You don't need a whole house full of people. You don't need, you don't need 10 of them. You need one, and then you need two. You just need trusted confidants who also share their own stuff with you as peers, because we all deal with this stuff, you guys. We need people that are on the same roller coaster ride with you. In my mastermind, we talk about this because we're all drinking the same Kool-Aid, right? You want people that are in the bus with you. And that's really all you need, because when you are surrounded by people who are speaking the same language, it speeds up that growth path for all of you. And that's why they call it the mastermind, you guys. It's really, I don't know, it can't be overstated how valuable a mastermind group is and can be. And a mastermind group is not the same as an accountability group or other kinds of groups, because the purpose of the mastermind is to grow. It is to grow everybody in the mastermind. It's to share ideas. It's to boost each other up, and it's to be vulnerable. It's to share the things that are holding you back and lay it bare, so that the people in your mastermind can say, okay, yeah, you know what? That's BS. That's not real. That thing that you're afraid of isn't real. And they are then able to hold space for you to help you unpack it so that you can carry on. It's wonderful stuff. So remember, showing up despite the fear and despite the naysayers is a testament to your resilience and your determination. And by understanding and addressing that you have a set point and identifying where it is, you can gradually expand your comfort zone and grow personally and grow professionally and move closer to your goals. because every small step counts. And with patience and persistence, you will rise above fear and continue on your path to success. And whether or not you actually achieve success, I should rephrase that. You will continue on your path of growth because that's really what it ultimately is all about, right? We're on a path to growth. Stay on the growth path by rising above the fear because, my friends, it's already inside you. You already have the power to do all of these things. All we have to do is unpack it and step beyond it. Okay, well, that's all I have for you this week. Thank you for listening, and I hope you have a fantastic week. And if you want to visit the show notes for this will be on CorinneO'Flynn.com/episode 22. That's the word episode and the digits 22. And just for the sake of facing the fears, if you are interested in having a free welcome session with me and to explore coaching with me, please go to my website, CorinneO'Flynn.com, and look on the Work With Me tab. And I would love to talk to you. So have a wonderful day. And again, thanks for listening. Remember, part of being a calm entrepreneur is developing the systems, habits, and know-how that lets you know that you are the one in the driver's seat. You get to choose how you run your business, and you get to choose how you work. So you got this. I hope you enjoyed listening to this episode of the Calm Entrepreneur Podcast. I'm Corinne O'Flynn, and if this episode was valuable to you, please head on over and rate and review wherever you consume your podcasts. Please subscribe so you'll never miss an episode. New episodes go out each week on Tuesdays, and I look forward to hanging with you again. This is Corinne signing off. Have an excellent day.